People identify me as someone who acts on his environmental values. They know I'm in my 5th year of not flying. I take over a year to fill 1 load of garbage in my house. In my spare time, I go out and pick up other people's litter off the street and put them in the proper receptacle. And they ask, Josh, why? We know we're supposed to do these things, but no one does them. You do, and you like it. What's your aha moment? I tell them avoiding packaged food actually makes my life more varied, or my diet more varied. It connects me with people. And I talk about how not flying, contrary to your expectations, actually gives me more control over my career, connects me with my family more. It's more fun and adventure. And they say, yeah, but really. They never take my answers, and it's led to some introspection that have led me to realize 3 threads that I'm going to share with you of where this all comes from. And I hope this makes a lot of sense. So really quick, the first thread is the US Constitution. I learned about it in grade school, and it taught me stewardship in a way that I'll describe, that sometimes, actually always, taking responsibility for how my behavior affects others improves my life. Next is science, the study of nature. You may know I have a PhD in physics, and the law of conservation of energy. That energy is never destroyed or lost. It means that when I turn on the light, when I fly in a plane, as much as I would like for what I do for what I do not mattering, or thinking governments should change, corporations should change, it's not a burden or a chore for me. It's actually a beautiful thing, this conservation of energy that connects me with all of nature and all other people. I find beauty in that, not deprivation or sacrifice. And I don't think there's anything special here about that for me. That I think that can be available to anyone. The third thread is that I actually try to do these things, and I do these experiments, that I try them. I don't just say government should do it, corporations should do it. And, well, let me go into a little more depth of each of these threads. In 3rd grade, the first one, we learn about the US Constitution. Article 6 says that state law is subject to federal law, and federal law is subject to the Constitution, which is the highest law in the land, along with treaties with foreign nations. This threw me. Shouldn't our own rules be the most important ones? Over the years, I realized, if I make an agreement with you, and I can unilaterally decide to drop that agreement when I feel like it, you're not going to create an agreement with me. It doesn't mean anything. I don't have credibility. I don't have integrity. And it connects me. So this stewardship connects me certainly with Franklin and Jefferson and Madison and the framers of the Constitution, but also with everyone around me. And the way that I talk about it is, when I come home, no matter how hungry I am, I feed the dogs that depend on me first, then myself. And this is a beautiful thing to me. It's not a burden or a chore to take others into account, especially when they are helpless to defend themselves against the consequences of my action. The second thread is the law of conservation of energy. It's a beautiful symmetry of nature. And a lot of people think about physics as lab coats and big technology things. For me, it's the beauty of nature at its most fundamental level. And the law of conservation of energy says that no energy is ever created or destroyed. It can only be moved around. That means that when I turn on the light, or someone goes away and leaves the air conditioner on so that when they get home it's going to be cool, or they fly and they think they don't want it to affect others, it still does. And a lot of people think, well, that's a burden, that's a chore, it takes away from my freedom. For me, it's not the case. For me, it's a beautiful thing. It's the conservation of energy. It's nature at its most fundamental level, and that connects me with nature, and through nature connects me with every other person alive and to come. And I don't feel it's a burden or a chore, and I don't think there's anything special here about me. I think everyone can feel that connection, that beauty. And combined with the first thread about stewardship, it tells me that stewardship, especially environmental stewardship, is beautiful. It's very human. It's very life-affirming. And the third one is these experiments that I do. So the reason I'm in my 5th year of not flying is I gave myself a challenge just to go 1 year without flying. Why do I have that challenge? It seems really big. It's actually small compared, a small jump from the challenge before that. And I went back and traced all these challenges back to when I was a kid. I believed you needed to eat meat to live. I thought you would die if you didn't eat it. I liked meat. I liked some meat. I liked hamburgers and hot dogs and chicken nuggets, the things that were so processed you couldn't tell where it came from. Because if you could tell where it came from, like a wing or a drumstick, I didn't like that. Fast forward to college. Fast forward to high school. I came across this book Diet for a Small Planet, which said you don't need meat to live. I believed it, but I was still scared to try it. Until college, one time I bought chicken breast. I breaded it, I cut it and breaded it and fried it, and made chicken nuggets for the first time. And I inadvertently connected even the very processed stuff to the actual animal. That was, I think, one more time after that I ate meat, and then I never ate meat again. I thought it would make me weak, or my diet would be less varied, all sorts of fears that were not realized. In fact, I found the opposite. It improved my life. It certainly saved me money. And it set up an expectation that a few years after that, a similar process happened with hydrogenated oil. I thought it'd be difficult. It wasn't. A few years after that, happened with corn syrup. So I cut these things out. Sometime after that, which is to say maybe 5-10 years ago, I cut out most processed food. And all these things improved my life. And that set me up when one day, about 5-6 years ago, I looked down at my garbage and realized how much of it came from packaged food. And I wondered if I could go without food packaging. And that seemed impossible. There's also a difference that the others affected me, corn syrup, but my pollution would affect you. And this was the first time when I was considering stewardship with others. I challenged myself to go for 1 week without packaged food, thinking I wouldn't make it. I did make it, 2.5 weeks, and that led me to a process of learning how to cook better, or cook more to my liking, and it improved my life. My diet became more varied, cheaper. It connected me with people in food deserts and single moms who have invited me to teach them what I do. And it's just improved my life in ways that I never could have imagined before. And more than the physical changes, it set up this expectation that if I act by my environmental values, it would improve my life. And that led about a year or two later when I learned that flying New York-LA round trip warmed the globe about a year's worth of driving, to give that a shot. Could I go for a year without flying? I thought it would mess up my life. I thought it would be the worst year of my life. I thought for sure, day 366, I would be on a flight, no question. But 2 or 3 months in, I realized that I was connecting more with my family. I was getting more control of my career. I was having more fun and adventure. And that's why I love what I do. These 3 threads about stewardship, about connection with nature and all people around me, and actually trying these things, not telling other people to do it, that's created a joy and connection and community, and I love what I do. The next step, I could talk about more depth about systems theory, about the science, or I could talk about my role models who have created on regional and global levels joy and prosperity and peace and abundance with more stewardship, the opposite of what people expect. And this gives me hope for the future and huge motivation to continue. But at the root of it all are these 3 threads that have led me to love, yes, love what I do.